From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, Renegade Express mailbag, which means lots and lots of football. We talk confidence in certain segments of the football team, conference affiliation, the latest on that, what we see the record can be, and generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Wake Up Warchant presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Tallahassee, Florida, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website. You can always check things out over there. Menu, social menu as well. Hope you enjoyed Bingo Night Thursday at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, everybody. This weekend, though, there's a fight going down, UFC, Corey, so I think you can go watch UFC at the Corner Pocket. Is that what Bill's doing these days?
Well, it's at 7th Hills, so it's the bar downstairs,
Okay.
which is it's still owned by Bill. It's connected to Corner Pocket, but yeah, it's 7th Hills. Go down there. It's a $15 cover, and you get in. You watch all the UFC you can handle. You want to see blood on the mat? They don't clean it up in between fights, Aslan. They just keep it there. It's not early. It's not the early '90s anymore, where you'd have to go into the locker room if there was any blood near you. So yeah, go watch UFC on Fight Night Saturday night, starting at I'm going to guess 9 o'clock. Could be 10 o'clock. Who knows?
Today, though, for your lunch, go head over to the Corner Pocket and get a chicken strip basket, hand-breaded, served with a dipping sauce, or tossed in a sauce of your choosing. Plenty of flavor options as well. All that, $8.99, side dish of your choice as well.
Let's be honest, though, man. If you're going to be at Corner Pocket today during lunch, Bill, this one time, I hope you forgive me, get your butt over to Hauser. You don't need to go to Corner Pocket for lunch. Lunchtime with the Noles at Hauser. He'll have the game on at Corner Pocket, I'm sure. But still, you're going to want to be out there at Hauser rooting on your guys.
Yeah, man. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Subscribe, 5-star rating and review. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Don't want to do a whole lot of preamble today, Corey. We got a hard network out. But one of the first questions comes from our guy out there in Mississippi, our guy Walker, the Walking Nole. He wanted to ask us about who's going to start for Florida State, but then Link went ahead and announced it on Thursday, so shout out to Link for doing that. But everybody's got such good vibes. I saw James B., I think Old Dads and All, also commented on YouTube just about how proud they are about this team. Our guy Walker says, I've heard it said about other teams, it definitely applies to ours. You bought the whole seat, but you're only going to need the edge. Either way, it's awesome to see what Link has done in year 2. I imagine we can be a whole lot deeper in the pen this time next year. If we make supers, I'll be there. Thanks for all you do. When it comes to Florida State football, baseball, expectations are always sky high. I feel like, with baseball, I don't know how long it's been, but if you don't make Omaha, it's considered a failure. I mean, it might even be if you don't win it all, it's considered a failure after a certain point, maybe like 2000. I don't want to give these guys I don't want to take weight off their shoulders. Feel the pressure, embrace it, gentlemen. But man, even if they somehow don't make it through this weekend, I'll be disappointed, but I will not consider this season a failure. Kind of weird to think about.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this on Headlines. I think this is the last and only year that Link gets that kind of clause.
Yep.
But I think it's the truth. I mean, as bad as this program has been, again, we know they were awful in 23. Well, they weren't very good in 19, 20, 21, or 22 either. The last time they were a national seed was 6 years ago. So this program has kind of it had cratered a little bit. So for them to just be a top 8 national seed, this has been a great year. It's been a revival. So you want to win. It would be absolutely frustrating to not get out of your regional. But, man, I think this is the one year. This is the one kind of get-out-of-jail-free card you get as a coach leading a program where if things go sour this weekend, is anybody going to sit here and say Link doesn't have what it takes? Like, he got Notre Dame to Omaha having to go through one of the best college baseball teams of all time in a crazy environment. And he was one game away from getting to Omaha the year before, having to go to Mississippi State. Like, he's proven he can build good postseason super regional Omaha-type rosters. I think he had one this year. Now that we've seen it go, the pitching – just there's been some tough injury luck on the mound. I think going into the season, though, this as we know it now, Aslan, right, we can say if they'd have stayed relatively healthy, he had an Omaha team.
Oh, for sure.
He might still have an Omaha team. I'm not telling you they won't get there, but he had put together a roster that was one of the better ones in the United States, clearly. And he did that in year 2. So you just have to assume the hits are going to keep on coming as long as he's at the helm at Florida State. It will get more. If they don't get to Omaha this year, it'll be a disappointment. If they don't get there the next year or the year after that, it will become a problem and a frustration.
Yeah, man. Couldn't say it any better. Again, noon today, Florida State takes on Stetson. Carson Dorsey.
Carson Dorsey, yeah.
I don't want to say – if I would have seen Connor Whitaker start, I'd been like, ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
But, like, Carson Dorsey feels like – is it safe to say, like, the safe play? Can we say that? I mean, because he just started so many more games for you here recently, you know?
Well, yeah, I think it's the smart decision. Link said on Thursday that it was a tough decision. They went back and forth. I assume he meant between Dorsey and Arnold because, his point was you got to win the first game to get to the winner's bracket. We all get that. But at the end of the day, especially with Leiter, if you guys don't know, Leiter threw a bullpen on Wednesday. It did not go well. Let's go ahead and assume – I'm not even going to assume. He's done for the year. He's not pitching again. Link said he would not pitch this weekend. The way he sounded about that bullpen, it did not go well. It leads me to believe that we need to just stop asking about it. It's crazy we got caught up in the momentum that he might pitch again, and he ain't gonna. So it just makes sense. To get to the Super Regional, your best avenue is Arnold pitching in Game 2. Link said it was a tough decision. I think that might have been a little bit of coach speak. Like, yeah, really wrung my – because he doesn't want Stetson to think it was an easy decision. Oh, yeah, we're going to throw the kid that gave up – 8 earned runs in 1 inning up in Charlotte because we know we can beat Stetson without our best guy. He wanted to make it sound like it really was a tough decision. I just don't think that if you're trying to win this regional, you had any other play but your second-best starter, which is Dorsey, despite what happened in Charlotte. He's your second-best starter, pitching on the opener and then saving Arnold for what you hope is the winner's bracket on Saturday.
I don't want to totally take him off the hook here, but I feel like the Bats are going to win. The Bats and Jamie Arnold are going to win you this regional. I think even if Carson Dorsey goes out there and does not have a great outing, man, the onus still falls on this offense at home with all the talent they have to figure out a way to bang out nine runs. I mean, that might sound unfair to some folks, but that's my sort of mindset going into this regional.
I agree. I think you're averaging 9 runs a game. You're playing Stetson, which does not have ACC caliber pitching from top to bottom. Certainly not in the weekend rotation. The starters, they don't have ACC caliber pitching. You average 9 runs a game in the ACC. You should get to that. Now, if you lose 12-10, well, yuck. But yes, you're right. I think the offense is what should carry the day to day. That's you got to hope for 9 or 10 runs. That should be enough. You got capable enough arms. And then, you got Arnold in your hip pocket for Saturday.
All right, moving along, our guy, M. Adams CZ. Wake up, pretty good Wednesday evening watching Florida State Golf try to knock off number 1 Auburn. They almost pulled it off.
Yeah.
The kid from Auburn, an absolute assassin down the stretch. FSU played hard. Difference must have been the SEC money and better facilities. Right. I'm sure Greg Sankey's all jacked up, ready to give another press conference while Jim Phillips was napping after watching lacrosse highlights on ACC Network. Yeah, man, shout out to those guys. Obviously, they lost, 3-2? They won the first 2 matches, lost the second 2, and then the last 3 matches did not go their way. I don't think, FSU melted down or choked. I don't even know how you can really quantify that in collegiate golf. But, man, that kid from Auburn was just a lot of the guys on Auburn in those second wave of games were just making some crazy chip-ins from off the green and some really stones putts. It's tough. I'm sure Trey Jones thought finally, man, the 21st year he's been at the helm, and he probably thought he finally was going to get the brass ring, if you will, and just
but at least it was cool that he got to a place they'd never been to before. The farthest they had gotten is the Final Four. I think they had done that 3 or 4 times. I was there one of those times in Chattanooga, Tennessee, in 2010 when they lost to Augusta State and Patrick Reed. It was Koepka. It was Brooks Koepka versus Patrick Reed.
Oh, no, really?
There were 11 people watching the match. We were all 5 feet away from them. It was crazy to see what happened to those guys a few years later. Well, obviously, we didn't know Koepka and Patrick Reed would end up being what they were being, but still, that's crazy that I was there for that. Sweated through my belt.
Oh, yeah.
It's hottest I've ever been.
Yeah.
Literally, my belt was dripping sweat. I didn't know that was even possible. But it was. That's how hot it was in June in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So that was 14 years ago. And to get to this spot, yeah, man, it's cool. I was hoping they'd win too. You talk about not melting down, and I don't think they did. They took advantage of, I thought, Georgia Tech melted down in the semifinals, and that's when I thought maybe it's Florida State's here, because Florida State was down in like 2 matches. They came back and won one of them, and then the Clanton kid was down. I think he was down 2 with like 4 to 5 to play, and he was playing what they kept saying was the number 1 amateur in the world. Like Georgia Tech has the number 1 ranked amateur in the world. And that kid hit it like I do down the stretch. Never hit a green, was always to the right. There were 2 straight holes where he took off his socks and shoes and hit out of the water to try to get his ball out of the water because it had rolled in. 2 straight holes where he was splashed in his club into the water. So he melted down, giving Florida State a chance to get to the finals, which never really happens to them out there. That was some good luck that the kid melted down like that, and they just didn't quite take advantage on Wednesday. But yeah, man, runner-up. Auburn was the number 1 team. It would have been cool if Ohio State could have knocked them off in the semis. Like Ohio State came in as like the number 34 team in the country, and they got to the semifinals of match play, and it went down to the final match, just like it did against Florida State. And the kid won on like the 19th or 20th hole. So.
Back to football, Mark says.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Mark. Sorry, everyone. I so rarely get a chance to talk about college golf. I wanted to show off.
He literally does say back to football, though. That wasn't me being rude.
Okay.
I promise. What's the one thing you had significant questions about entering spring that you're now more confident about, either positively or negatively, after watching spring ball and this ensuing transfer portal period? And what's the one thing entering spring that you were pretty confident about that you now have some serious questions about for the summer and fall? I'll take the first part of it. Then I'm more confident about the defense as a whole. Mm-hmm. Maybe the front 4, if we want to get maybe more down the brass tacks and accurately. By the way, again, I apologize on Twitter, which should matter a lot, but I'll also do it on this podcast that has a bigger, broader reach than my little piddly-poddly ex-Twitter account. I had Grady Kelly on my top 40, and then I had to move him up or down, and I erased his name, and I forgot to add him back to my ballot. So Grady Kelly never made onto my ballot. I do think he will be one of the 40 most impactful guys on the team this year. But for me, it's just seeing Marvin Jones. Patrick Payne's continuing to grow, but I just didn't want to take it for granted they're going to get Jermaine Johnson, stud, Jared Verse, stud, Marvin Jones Jr. It just felt like I didn't want to take that for granted, but seeing the way he played, perform, hearing the way they talked about him, and especially the way they talked about Grady Kelly. I think I saw it from Marvin Jones Jr., maybe didn't see it from Grady Kelly, but they both got really high marks. That's the one thing that I feel way more confident about heading into the spring. The one thing that I was confident about that I might have been shooketh about, maybe, I don't want to say offensive line play. They seem to have been mixing and matching a lot of guys at guard. I kind of felt like they would have locked and loaded some of those transfer guys and rode with them maybe after practice 8 or so, but they were still mixing and matching even until that final week of spring for me, Corey.
Yeah, but that's not what they do, right? They always do that kind of stuff. So it is hard to get a gauge on what the starting 5 is going to look like, because there's a lot of times they are mixing and matching. So you don't really know. I was going to say that I thought, I don't know if this qualifies as the offensive line or just the running game in general. Much more confident in the running game in general. I thought that was the highlight for the offense all spring long against what we just talked about, and I think it's a good defense. And they ran well. They ran up the middle. They had holes. The running backs are good. They're not Trey Benson, but collectively they're a good group, man. And as Mike Norvell said, like 2 or 3 weeks ago back in Amelia Island, he thinks that the running game is going to be the running back room is probably better than it was last year, even without Trey Benson. So I think that what I'm confident in is the running game. The defensive line is also a very good answer. Those guys, they're just grown-ups, right? Yeah. They just have a bunch of grown-ups on the defensive line. Grady Kelly's 23 years old and married, I think, or getting married this summer. Yeah. Congrats to the newlyweds if they've already done it. And then, you've got the kid from Ohio, Lolohea, the kid from West Virginia, Peyton, Marvin Jones. You've got a bunch of 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds that have been in college weight rooms now for 2 or 3 years. These are grown men. They're going to be good. That's going to be a good, tough defensive front. So both of those things are the main things I'm most confident about, or more confident than I was going in. And then, again, to make it more general, I will say the passing game, a little less confident than I was going in. Not because of DJ, just other than Malik, didn't see a lot of receivers stepping up. Like other than Malik and Ja'Kai, Ja'Kai, I love you. Always going to throw you in there, big dog. Malik and Ja'Kai stepping up. The other receivers still have some work to do to get to where I was hoping they'd be.
It all started in middle school. I saw Eli walking down the hallway one day, and my 11-year-old self was mesmerized by her. That's from Grady Kelly and his now wife, their wedding page. They got married on May 16th. That's adorable.
Right. That is. He said 11 years old is what he said?
Eliana is her name, it looks like.
Okay.
And I think he calls her Eli. I don't know.
Where's he from? He's from the Panhandle, right? Isn't he
Yeah,
from
they got
Florida?
married out in Boulder, though. How about that?
I know. That's cool. It's beautiful out there.
Way to stimulate their economy. We could have used your dollars here in Florida, Grady.
Hey, take it easy. Take it easy. He loves Colorado. He's here, right?
Yeah,
He
he's right.
he chose to come back. Oh, that's cute. So they've been together for 10 years, 11 years.
Yeah.
They started dating. Do you call it dating when you're 11?
I always remember people would say that, like, we're in elementary school and middle school, like, yeah, I'm going out with her. I'm like,
going. It was weird. I'm going with is when you were quote unquote dating as a middle school.
No, they would say going out. I'm like, but you don't go out with her, though. Like, you guys don't go out on dates. You just kiss in the hallways.
Yeah, you roll up to her house in your Mustang. That ain't happening. Yeah. I guess you could bike over there.
Yeah. Anyway,
all right, well, good for them. That's a cool story.
Yeah, we move on. Jaron 1518. Gents, a quirky thing I used to enjoy about college football before the transfer era, position changes. It was always fun to speculate about what underutilized player on your roster could thrive if you move them to the other side of the ball. With the ability to now address that through the transfer portal, it seems that type of resourcefulness no longer necessary. With that said, who would make your Mount Rushmore of all-time FSU football position changes? Real ones, of course, not just a guy going from tackle to guard. I'm thinking more along the lines of a Carlos Williams. # forcing the football.
See, now, I assume Derek Brooks counts. Like, he came in as a safety and then went to linebacker. Does that count?
Well, he says, I guess
I don't
he
know.
says
You have to switch
elsewhere
side of
on the
ball.
field. I butchered the question. He says elsewhere on the field. He didn't say the other side of the ball. So, yeah, you could drop down levels, I guess. But, he didn't want to go with, inside linebacker to outside linebacker,
I think Derek Brooks is the number one answer of all time.
No. Xavier Rhodes.
No way. Jeb just said Derek Brooks ended up being a better football player than Xavier Rhodes, and Xavier Rhodes was awesome. But Derek Brooks came in. He was the Defensive Player of the Year as a safety. Like, he was the USA Today National Defensive Player of the Year, and he was a safety. In his first year, he played safety. Like, he played in the game of the century against Miami. Not much because he was a freshman, but he was out on the field as a safety. And then they moved him the next year to linebacker, and the rest is history. He was one of the best to ever do it. Xavier Rhodes that might be number 2, though. Right?
But Xavier Rhodes came here as a no-name wide receiver. And then left as a first-round cornerback, But
I don't think he ever played as a wide receiver. Like, I think it should have to be like you played the position. Like, I don't think Warwick Dunn counts because Warwick Dunn they were going to use him as a DB. That's kind of what he was recruited as. He's like, I'll come as a DB, but you give me 2 weeks. You let me start at running back, and, of course, he never switched. I think Xavier might have played a couple of weeks as a receiver, and then Jimbo switched him over, but not just in practice. But, yeah, he's a good one because he was a receiver when he got here until Jimbo sprung it on him. Who else is out? There's got to be some other.
Cam Irving was a defensive lineman, I think.
That's a great one. He's a first-round pick. Oh. And he was a defensive lineman for a couple of years, right? He played. He played as a defensive lineman in games. Yeah, he did. I remember that. So that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Giorgio Newberry?
Yeah, well, look, hey, Giorgio Newberry was on the field for the Kelvin Benjamin catch. He was out there, just throwing that out there. He was on the field. He got to celebrate with all those NFL players, so that was cool.
We need a fourth.
Yeah, you sprung that on me. Let me get. There's got to be a million.
Hey, you're a member of Warchant.com too, Corey. You can hop in these threads and read it too. Take advantage of your subscription.
That's true. That's a good point. I could actually. That would be weird to actually be prepared for one of these podcasts. Yeah, we got 3 really good ones so far. There'll be a 4th one that comes to me.
Okay. Man, I really wish you were looking at the website to look at this one because this is going to be a tricky one to talk about, but we'll try nonetheless. It's JLit, y'all. Two T's in JLit. Hi, guys. First-time RenEx contributor, long-time consumer. For the purposes of this question, gentlemen, 5 assumptions are needed. All right, so I'm going to give you 5 things to assume in this exercise. Corey, are you ready? You guys ready at home? He's probably looking for the answer to the position change right now, everybody, so I'll read the question. Number 1, Corey, we need to assume The TV networks ultimately have the final say as to whether their respective power conferences, the Big Two, will make an offer to an available school. Okay? So the TV networks have the final say. Okay. Second thing we need to assume, FSU is going to declare its intent to leave the ACC in August.
Okay.
The third thing we need to also assume is that currently FSU has a handshake agreement to join the Big Ten. Fourth, we need to assume that Florida State's going to figure out how to exit the ACC after this coming season. Remember, this is all hypothetically, adds parenthetically. The last thing we need to assume, in addition to the networks have the ultimate final say, Florida State's going to say they're gone in August. They have an agreement already in place to join the Big Ten, and they're going to figure out how to get out of this conference by the end of this season, is that we need to assume that Florida State is 11-1. They've just beaten Florida on November 30th, and Florida is now 4-8. In this scenario, would you definitively presume that FSU ends up in the Big Ten?
Why does the Florida game matter?
I don't know.
Something?
Did we hurt the SEC's feelings, or maybe this proves that we're the better team in the state of Florida? Sell all your Gator stock, buy all your Seminole stock, Sankey?
So they have a handshake agreement. They're out. They've proven they can get out. They're out. They've just gone 11-1. They've beaten Florida, and they have a handshake agreement with the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And the question was what?
Do you definitively presume that they're going to end up in the Big Ten?
No, not definitively.
Okay.
I mean, I would presume it, but not absolutely concrete. No, I don't.
All right.
Hey, did you see the Florida? Was it the AD?
Yeah, Scott Strickland.
Hey,
we're not standing in the way of Florida State want to come here.
Yeah,
but he's not going to be there that much longer, though, Corey. So easy for him to say.
But it is true. They don't. It's not like one school has veto power, right. And why would that school be Florida? They haven't won anything in 15 years. Like, it wouldn't be like Florida. We really want Florida State. Can you please let us bring in Florida State? Absolutely not. Nope. We want Virginia. Like, Florida doesn't have that power. They could suggest it. But, for the people that don't know, Scott Strickland, the UFAD, came out and said, look, we're always open to suggestions, and we love our friends in Tallahassee. It was very kumbaya. Mm-hmm. Put whatever stock you want into it, which is probably not much. But he did not, under any circumstances, say we don't want Florida State in the SEC. And it was a question about that to him. So I would still, think the SEC wouldn't. I mean, Sankey, for as much as I hate him, and I do, for what he's done to this sport, I hate's a strong word. Dislike what he's done to this sport. He's not a dummy, man, and he knows Florida State would he would rather Florida State be in the SEC than the Big Ten. But money talks, quickness talks, when can you get in, all that. I would say I would not feel 100% confident they'd be going to the Big Ten. I think the SEC, there would still be a window where the SEC could swoop in.
Okay. I don't disagree with any of that.
Remember when Carlos Boozer – sorry, before we get to our sponsors, which is what matters. Remember when Carlos Boozer opted out with the Cavs? Was it the Cavs, right? This was like 15 years ago. They had him opt out, knowing with the whole handshake agreement that we're gonna make you a restricted free agent, or we're gonna make you an unrestricted free agent, so we can sign you to a longer term deal. Right now, we still own your rights for the next year, but we're gonna make you an unrestricted, something to that effect. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to be a Cavs. This frees me up to be a Cav for longer. I get more money quicker. So they freed him from his contract, made him an unrestricted free agent, and then he went and signed with the Jazz. And it's like that could be what Florida State does to the Big Ten. Like, absolutely. We want to come there. We're coming. We love this deal. It's a great deal. We can't wait to be in Chicago on December 20th to handshake and put pen to paper and make this official. Oh, wait, we're going to stop by Greg Sankey's house on December 17th. Like that, I just foresee that could be a negotiation that happens. I think that, if the SEC comes calling, as much as we dislike them, I don't know how if everything being close to equal, which is a big if, a huge if at this point, that's purely speculative. But if they were to make an offer, if both conferences made an offer that were close to equal, I don't know how you would say no to the SEC. But anyway, Vitamin Energy.
It's available online at Amazon, Walmart, GNC. You can also get it at retailers like Pilot, Flying J, TA, Sunoco, Town Pump, shout out Montana, and many more. Only problem is you can get it right there then when you need it, but you can't get it for free. What you can do is get it for free by going to vitaminenergy.com and committing to trying and improving your life by buying one singular box of 12 shots, and then you'll get one box of 12 shots for absolutely free. It's clinically tested, clinically proven. 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine and no sugar. It'll get you through 7 hours of your day. Peak performance. Peak performance, some say. Vitamins, nutrients, helping energize your focus, your immune system, your mood, your pump in the gym. Pick out whatever you're trying to get 1% better at and take 1.93 fluid ounces this shot, Corey. You don't have to even take the whole thing if you're an older dude like me. You young guys might need to take the whole one because you guys have been doing some crazy stuff ever since you were in middle school with energy drinks and Adderall, but that's a whole nother episode in a different show. Go to vitaminenergy.com, promo code WarChampBOGO, buy one, get one free. Noles alums with this entire campaign going. We love them. They're awesome. Shake it and take it, vitaminenergy.com. Hey, Corey, people love talking about conferences. Let's keep it up. Random_John, big debate brewing, gentlemen, about Seminole fans, or amongst Seminole fans, about where we should land. Folks want to avoid the travel hassles. Given that college football aims to be NFL-like, does travel even matter anymore? For Pete's sake, the Noles are heading to another continent to play football, and everyone's like, woohoo! So if college football is taking the NFL route, shouldn't we embrace travel? We also have somebody else also remarking on this, our guy Asio Seminole, ACCIO.
Okay.
Asio Seminole. I'm sure Corey's remarked on this desire for us to join the SEC, the reasons for which I understand. That being said, wouldn't a Big Ten affiliation help us better preserve our national branding and fandom reach? Surely, the ratings prowess is due to part the national schedules that Florida State would play in the 80s and the non-con schedules in the 90s. This is coming from a diehard Nole with absolutely no affiliation to the state of Florida or the school, but I was lured in by gold helmets and spears and one guy who happened to be the starting quarterback and a starting point guard. Now I'm a fanatic who watches all Florida State sports. I could see SEC affiliation gradually degrading that kind of national appeal.
There's the best answer. Charlie Ward came in as a punter and ended up being a Heisman Trophy quarterback. So there's the fourth answer.
Was he really?
No.
Was that his only?
No. Of course, he came in as a quarterback, but because they had nobody that they didn't care about kicking back in the 80s,
right.
They let him be the punter in 89, and then he redshirted. He redshirted in 88, was the punter in 89, and then I think took over as a redshirt junior. Yeah, he did in 92. So yeah, how crazy is that, man? Kid was a punter. He punted like at a Division I football team. He punted, played point guard, and quarterback pretty well. Anyway, yeah, the national thing, I think, look, man, I mean, would you say Alabama and Georgia are the two biggest brands, along with Notre Dame, in the country right now? I think Georgia's played one game outside of the Southeast in my lifetime. Like they played at Notre Dame a few years ago. Maybe they went to the West Coast. I can't remember. Arizona State, like 15 years ago. They don't ever play outside the state. If you're good, and the point also, the national branding can come with winning a lot, and also if you get to the playoff routinely, well, then you become a national brand because you might be playing Ohio State, you might be playing Oregon or Washington or USC. I get that point. That is how Florida State kind of made its name in the 80s under Bowden. They'd go to play Ohio State and Arizona State and LSU and Notre Dame, all these big schools. They had a home and home with USC. But no, I don't think that would mean enough anymore because every game is on television. That the brand would get significantly bigger than it would if you just went to the SEC. And another thing with the travel, when you compare it to the NFL, well, I'm a sort of Falcons fan. When the Falcons play the Cowboy, or let's say when the Falcons play, the Bucks. I don't know that there are 12,000 Falcons fans that travel down to Tampa to watch those games. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never been to a road game with Falcons fans, so I don't know. But I don't know that the NFL, the appeal of traveling to another road stadium is the same as it is in college. And moreover, whether that happens or not, the city of Tallahassee would be benefited greatly if they were in the SEC because one weekend you're going to have 12,000 Auburn fans coming in. They got to stay somewhere. They got to eat somewhere. The next week it might be Georgia. 2 weeks later it's going to be Kentucky. All those fan bases travel in hordes, by the thousands. They will invade your city, which might not sound great when you're talking about some of these schools, but it's good for the local economy, really good. And we've been dealing with a program for the last 30 years that unless it's Miami or Clemson, nobody shows up. None of these fan bases travel. Boston College might have had 30 people here the last time they played at Doak. They just don't travel. Neither does Pitt. Neither does name them.
Syracuse.
None of them.
No.
Clemson and Georgia Tech a little bit because it's in Atlanta, but what is that fan base anyway? It's Clemson and Miami. Those are the only two ACC fan bases that show up in fan bases and quotes with Miami that show up at I was going to say Doak Hauser at Doak Campbell Stadium. So that's why I think it would be really cool to be in the SEC. One of the big reasons is all those fans coming to your town every year. You're always going to have an awesome Friday night, Saturday night atmosphere experience because of the fan bases from the other schools.
Yeah, and I don't think fans are worried about travel as a competitive disadvantage. And I don't even think fans are worried about I'm not going to be able to go and see as many Florida State games because now they're playing in Minnesota and Madison, Wisconsin. I don't even really think it's that. I just think at the core of it, they want to play the best teams that are most culturally aligned with who they are, and those are teams that are in the SEC. I think these are easier to kind of cite, right? It's less nuance and having to describe. Listen, man, I'm born and raised in Dalton, Georgia. I've got buddies that went to Georgia or Auburn or Alabama. I want to play against them. I want them to treat me when they're on a road game in their town. I don't know anybody that lives in West Lafayette, Indiana. I don't care about that. There's no juice in me beating Purdue. I don't get to walk around my office feeling better about things. I don't think travel necessarily factors in really at the forefront of anybody's mind. I think it's just one of those.
But it would be cool. I mean, obviously, the vast majority, not everybody. We know we're a national show, an international show, and this is certainly an international. It's a global brand, the Florida State football program. But most people, most Florida State alums, most Florida State fans, most of them live in the Southeast, and they'd like to go if they could. I mean, think about what game was it this year? It was it Wake? Where it looked like half the crowd, it was more Florida State fans in Winston-Salem than there were Wake fans, which, again, isn't saying a lot, but that was 25,000 or 20,000 Florida State fans at that game. That's really cool. I don't know, because you can drive to it, or you might live in North Carolina. There's a lot of Noles that live in North Carolina. There aren't a lot of Noles that live in Indiana, and there aren't a lot of Noles that live in Minnesota. So, that's not the main reason, but that's a cool reason, too, is you get to travel to more road games if you live in the Southeast.
I was trying to think what would need to happen for me to think taking my job and doing it for the Wisconsin site. How would I pick Wisconsin over Florida State? And I think that's picking the Big Ten over the SEC. And I remember somebody asking us, how much does the money need to be? How much more money do you need to get from the Big Ten to make that make sense to picking them over the SEC? Because that's the only thing that would make you pick the Big Ten over the SEC. There's nothing else.
I think my answer at the time, or at least I hope it was I don't know. I don't know that there's an amount. As long as you're competitive, if you're getting SEC money, I don't care if the Big Ten's offering you $15 million more a year. Number one, we don't get any of that money.
Right, we don't, but I'm sure the people at Moore do.
So the people at Moore could get huge raises. Yeah. Great. The fact is, if you're on an even playing field with Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, you're doing just fine, and you can go win national championships. If you're getting the same amount of money the SEC is getting, okay, man, Ohio State and Michigan, they might get $8 million more a year. The benefit of playing in the SEC will trump the extra $8 million a year that you can pay to build another building. You know what I mean? I just think that that's why I'm saying, $30 million more a year, sure. But that's not realistic. I think that if it's anywhere, if it's close to equal, even, just the SEC makes more sense for a variety of reasons. But I also get that a lot of people hate the SEC, including me right now. So the Big Ten might seem really, really appealing after what happened the last, whenever that was, 6 months ago.
Wrapping up this thought, I mean, the SEC is aware of that too, though, unfortunately, right? The Florida State probably, I don't want to say wouldn't take a full share, but might give you some kind of quasi-hometown discount? Or do we not think the decision makers would not be in their fiduciary duty to...
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about Florida State coming in as a 3/5 partner.
No, I'm not either, partner. But just the fact that ESPN knows, all right, Fox has got a huge offer to take Florida State. Let's just say, let's just throw $100 million. I don't even know. Let's just use a round number. Couldn't ESPN talk amongst themselves and be like, you know what? everybody else in the SEC is making $85 million. We can offer them $85 million. Or we can offer them 83 and they'll probably still take it. Like, they know they don't need to match what the Big Ten's going to offer.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that would be weird if they did that. But yes, I agree. I mean, but I guess, yeah. But if you end up in the SEC when this is all said and done, you'll be pretty happy with however it transpired. Especially if they help you pay that grant of rights.
All right. Other part of the question from our guy Asio Seminole. To the extent that you can, and I'll put this on you, Corey, because you're more discerning about this sort of stuff. Can you opine your confidence in Destin Hill returning to form that you saw this spring before his injury? Said differently, was it a catastrophic in nature injury where he may not ever be the same, or do you just think it was an unfortunate level tear that will sideline him, take him time to heal, but to a degree where he's expected to return 100% prior form?
Didn't see it, so I don't know.
Just saw the aftermath, right? Like, we just saw him on the ground.
I don't even think I was there that day, so I didn't even see that. But so that's impossible to say. I don't know. I mean, the way medicine is these days and these surgeries, I would think he could be close to back to normal by this time next year. But you just never know, right? Like, some kids come back better than ever. Some adults, some athletes come back better than ever. Some never quite get there again. So, I don't know. I will say this. Acuna, God love him, he tore his ACL in 21, and they went and won the World Series. And then a year and a half later, he was a 40-70 guy. He led the league in stolen bases. Yeah. So, you can't get back to normal, and he looked faster than he ever had been. Then, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, then he tore his other knee. So I'm not wishing that upon Destin. My point is that he came back to better than ever after his knee surgery. But it took a while. Like, he wasn't – in 22, he wasn't the same player he was before he got hurt in 21. He struggled a good bit, especially for him. So that's why I say I don't know that this time next year Destin will look like he did that first week in the spring, where I thought he was probably their best receiver. That was a real bummer that he got hurt. He would have been a player, Aslan.
Yeah.
He would have been he would have been a guy. He would have been one of their guys.
This is weird because I don't think Jordan's injury was catastrophic. I mean, it was catastrophic for the outcome of Florida State's season, but he's going to be fine. And he's going to probably,
because it was a break, right?
Yeah, because he's going to play football this year. But I think if Jordan would have gone down the way he did in that North Alabama game at practice, I think they probably stop practice and it's over for the day. And I don't know how much that's because it's your quarterback or just that degree of injury, but they kept practicing after Destin left.
I don't think they would do. You really think they'd do that? Like, if he'd have hurt his knee the week of the Florida game like that, because one of the linebackers of Florida State decided to hip tackle him. Number one, there'd be a huge fight, and that linebacker would probably be kicked off the team. But I think Norvell, I would see him getting the whole team together after he gets carted off. And because if they saw it, they're like, oh, my God, they would have been devastated. Getting the whole team together, maybe having a 5 or 10-minute cooling off period. But then, Rodemaker needs reps, man. Somebody's got to be out there getting reps. We can't just shut it down for the day. But, I see your point. They just – but I don't know, man. As a football coach, it's next man up. You can't – if you start lamenting and showing how devastated you are by these injuries in a practice, I just think they want to –
I can't find it, but there was an NFL team, I think, that cut short their practice because one of their best guys went down, like in the preseason. And it wasn't like a Hard Knocks thing, and I can't find it. I was trying to Google it.
I bet you that wasn't a Super Bowl champion team.
Touche.
Doesn't sound like it. Probably the Falcons.
I think he'll be fine. Bourbon is your friend, our guy Dave from Bardstown, Kentucky. He's compiled an Ireland-themed summer reading list for himself and his family. He's got a young boy and a young girl. He's got a daughter and a son. Some may call those children. And he's got Artemis Fowl for his son, the Rover Adventures, and the Giggler treatment for his daughter. He's got 2 daughters, apparently. Violet, too. She's going to, I guess, watch the iPad. He's going to be reading Gulliver's Travels. And he purchased his wife 2 books as well. Or 2 books by an author named Mav Binchy. The Glass Lake and Evening Class, if you guys want to add this to your reading list. Is anybody else out there attempting a cultural learnings of Ireland for Make Benefit Glorious website of Warchant? I think that's the Borat movie.
It
he's
is.
Putting a little spin on it. Good job
there
there,
might
Dave.
be another Borat coming out.
That's what the world needs right now, right?
I don't think I'm going to read anything from Ireland. I did watch a movie, and I can't remember the name of it. I watched it 2 years ago. Colin Farrell is in it, and one of the guys in it was nominated for like a Best Supporting Actor. It's a crazy movie, but it's really good. It's like, golly, I'll get to it. I would suggest people watch that.
In Bruges? No, that's a long time ago.
No, that's a long
the
time ago.
Banshees of Inisherin.
There it is. I knew it was a crazy name. I really like that movie. It is weird. It is kind of bizarre, but it is all Ireland. Or it could be Scotland.
No, it is Ireland.
I'm just kidding. I know. I was just kidding. It is Ireland. I liked it a lot, and I thought he was great in it. And I've never been a huge Colin Farrell fan, but I thought he was great in that movie.
All right, moving along now. Next question. Let's go to our guy, Armchair Osceola. Wake up. As on a reference to your suggestion, I'm actually doing a little hiking beach time in Spain. I'll spend 5 days on the northwest coast of Mallorca, Port de Soler. When I travel later in the month, we'll happily provide some recommendations and pics of the scenery. Thanks.
That's nice of him.
Yeah, have a great time out there. I like this question, Corey. He wants to talk about forecasting the schedule. Question for you, gentlemen. Assuming you're eating dinner at Corner Pocket and you accidentally rub a magic beer bottle, Chief Osceola Genie pops out, asks you, he's going to tell you they foreseen a 10-2 regular season for the Noles, but you can choose the 2 losses. Which games are you giving up and why? If we had to narrow it to Clemson, Miami, Notre Dame, Florida, which of these would you want to win the most? Tough part for me is that I would instinctively take beating Miami and Florida. Florida's not in the ACC, so postseason chances could be damaged if we lose 2 ACC games. What say you? What I first off say, Corey, is let's fire it up. Let's fire up the engines. Cameras on, generator humming. This is a good question that's going to help generate discussion. Generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Go follow them on Instagram at Cummins Lifestyle. It's all one word. Totally free to do that, everybody, by the way. Noles at the controls, hooking us up with free swag. How this all works is if you're a member of warchant.com, you go into the tribal council, you put your question in for Wake Up Warchants, Renegade Express, and then every week, Corey and I select the best question, the one that's going to generate the most discussion. And then we enter you into a monthly drawing for some free swag from Cummins, shirts, hats, perhaps. And you also get a grand prize drawing into the year-end drawing for a portable generator, perhaps, or a portable power station, your choice. So you get a monthly drawing to win some free swag, and then you get a grand prize drawing for an awesome generator from a world power leader, Cummins. So, Corey, our guy, again, Armchair Osceola, basically, which games are you giving up and why? First off, we don't surrender on this show, but if we had to for this exercise, Corey, what 10-2, slate, what resume 10-2 you think is most palatable, best case, I guess, perhaps?
Well, first off, I'd like to say that I hope Armchair Osceola wins the big drawing at the end, because the guy that's vacationing in Mallorca clearly needs some good stuff to start happening in his life. I would say, I know people don't probably want to hear this. I would say especially out of those 4, you could lose at Notre Dame and at Miami and feel pretty good about things. You don't want to give Clemson back on equal footing with you. You want to make that 2 in a row on that program. They beat you for a decade straight. You need to go ahead and stack together a couple of wins against Clemson, and you always want to beat Florida. There's no shame, in my opinion, losing at Miami. This particular Miami team. You don't want to do it, but if your options are Clemson and Notre Dame, Miami, and Florida, I think Miami and the 2 road games are the right answer.
I was going to say Miami and Notre Dame, but I've changed my mind. Not to be contrarian.
I talked you out of it somehow, even though I agreed with you.
Because I don't think – I get it. Clemson played for a bunch of national titles here recently, and they won a couple of them. But I say this all with the pretense, Corey, that I think you rematch whoever you lose to in the ACC championship game. I just thought it might be a more pleasant feeling, giving Miami that little bit of satisfaction that they beat you, only to then stomp on them in the ACC championship game and be like, you still haven't won the conference, everybody, because you can bounce back. Yep. So the question you definitely don't want to lose to Florida, because you don't get the option to kick their teeth in again, because they're not going to make the playoff. You will not see them in the playoff. Their coach is probably going to be fired by then. So I'll say Clemson. I don't want to lose at home, but I'd rather, I can stomach losing to Clemson more than Miami. Probably rematch Clemson, take them down the ACC championship game. Life's good.
That would just be such a bummer to lose to Clemson at home again. which you've done every year since 16. Every year you played them, which hadn't been much. I guess that's probably 4 games. But also the DJ factor. I don't want him to. What's that going to do to him if he loses to his old team? Like, I think that could be something you'd want to keep an eye on. And what kind of uplifting moment would that be for him in his career to beat his former team? It's going to be a ton of pressure on him in that game, a ton of pressure. So it would be really cool if he could come out with a win against the team that let him go to Corvallis, Oregon, so they could start Cade Klubnik. But yeah, I mean, there's no real right answers or wrong answers here except for Florida. Florida is the automatic. You have to win that game. You would not lose to Florida. You do not want to lose to them under any circumstance. You could sort of stomach any of the other 3 because, as Aslan said, 2 of them, there's at least a decent chance you'd play them again.
Let's do this on your terms. So let's say they go 10-2 and they lose to Miami and Notre Dame. That actually really doesn't even work because if you win the ACC, you're in the playoff. But just, I mean, I don't know if you go 10-3, does 10-3 get you in the playoff, Corey?
No, not in the ACC. Are you kidding? No chance. No, you have to have 1 loss or none probably to get in the. Now maybe they would grandfather Florida State in because of the travesty of last year, and as long as they have a winning record, like that Florida baseball team, they're like, you're in the playoff. You did it. You're 7-6. Welcome aboard. But no, I would think that 2 losses is the absolute max you would have as an ACC team to get in. But look, if you lost to Notre Dame and Miami, let's say they're both top 12 in the country, top 15 in the country. It's a big if, but it could be. And then you go and beat Miami again you're in the playoff anyway because you won the conference.
Exactly.
But still, it's you get a chance at revenge that you would not have against Florida. And then Clemson, you don't want to give them any life, man. You were the better for the first time in a decade. I feel like you feel like you're the better program than Clemson. It's been a long time coming, but you feel like you're the better program than Clemson for the first time since 2014. Don't let them immediately jump back in and beat you on your home field with that kid at quarterback who's just a decent player but nothing special. It doesn't appear.
Why do we keep saying? Do we say Notre Dame because we're comfortable with the thought if you're going to lose, make it to a high caliber team
on the road in the bad weather? I mean, it's understandable.
But if you win here's the thing though, this almost changes everything. If you win your conference, you're in. So let's lose to SMU.
That too. Yeah, that's fine. But SMU's a conference.
Maybe you don't get into the ACC championship game if you lose to SMU and Miami.
Yeah, I mean, SMU's a conference team, but yeah, I was just going under the premise of those 4. I would say almost you don't want to lose to Memphis because it's his former team. You don't want to lose to Georgia Tech because it's the opener after you lost all those good players. Other than that, I don't know, man. You lose to any of them. As long if you can still ride your way into the ACC championship, whatever makes it easier. And I know people listening or watching this will be like, well, if you lost to Florida, that doesn't impact you at all, except it's Florida. And they might be on an interim coach. They will have a losing record, kills your RPI. I just think that you would you want to beat Florida at any cost. And at Notre Dame is such an understandable loss in the middle of November at night to lose at Notre Dame.
What about it? What if you're 11-2 and you didn't win the ACC, so you lose to Memphis and then you lose to Miami in the rematch for the ACC championship team for the ACC championship game? Does 11-2 Florida State team that did not win their conference but split against their conference champion make the playoff?
Maybe. I mean, maybe if you feel like they're the second best team in the conference, they have a chance. But there's going to be 5 or 6 SEC teams in, man. So you got to, and at least 4 Big Ten teams. So you got to figure out a way to hurdle one of them. A win at Notre Dame, like if you lose, who'd you say, Miami and
Memphis?
Who?
And you lose to Memphis, let's say.
But then you win your next 7 games to win out, including at Notre Dame. And at Miami or somebody like that, or no, at Notre Dame and Florida.
No, you beat Miami. You lose to Miami in the ACC championship game is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see. Yeah, maybe. If you'd beaten them already in the year, yeah. I think there's an avenue. Hey, I can't wait to find all this out, Aslan. It's a brand new world. I can't wait to see how it all works. I'm sure everybody will feel like they're on equal footing, not just in those 2 conferences, but everybody competing will feel like they've all got a fair shot to get in.
Next week, we'll do a drawing for the month of May winner, our guy Armchair Osceola.
Good luck, man. Good luck. What a great month that would be for you.
Marlin Joker, Island Chief, and Dalvinism. They'll enter the drawing for the free swag bag for the month. They all, though, enter the grand prize drawing for a portable generator or a portable power station, courtesy of our friends over at Cummins Lifestyle. Follow them, everybody, on Instagram, free of charge. And look at that shirt on court.
Nice, right? I mean, I don't like wearing white, especially with a white backdrop. I don't think I look great in it, but it's an awesome shirt. It feels great. It just would look better on somebody with better skin. So go get you one.
All right, a few more to get to.
Don't sleep on Far and Away either, Aslan. The great Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman movie. That has anybody had a better Irish accent than Tom Cruise? Don't think so.
Oh, man. Let's go to our guy, Bowden-Law. Hey, Corey and Aslan, wake up. So many times the question has come up, if you could pick one player from a former team, put him on this team, who would you pick and why? My question is the opposite. You can place one player off this 2024 team. I don't know why I keep doing this, Corey. I always try to, read the question and, hack out some words to make it go faster, and I just end up screwing it up, and it takes longer. So
and you make it longer, yeah.
All right, you can place one player off of this year's team on any former team with the goal of helping that team win a national championship. Who are you moving and why? Bowden-Law would put DJ Uiagalelei on the 1998 team because I believe FSU would have rolled Tennessee in the Natty with him at quarterback.
Well, yeah, but that's because he's better than Outson, R.I.P., but he's better than Marcus Outson, but, he wasn't better than Winky when Winky was so you know what I mean? Yeah, if DJ was your second-string quarterback at that point, and Outson was really the third-stringer, he took over because Kendra tore his ACL in the spring, then yeah, that's a good one. I would say, honestly, my first instinct is Ryan Fitzgerald in 91 or 92. Yeah. 91, specifically 91.
Okay. All right,
no way that kid is missing a 34-yarder.
Right.
To win the game. I just don't see it. Fitz, I love you. Fitz, and knock on wood, but Fitz Magic, I love you. You're not missing a 34-yarder there, but not with those stakes.
Would Malik Benson win a national title in the 2000 team?
Ooh, that's a good one because, when Snoop missed the bowl game, that's a good. I mean, they still had Javon Walker and Anquan Bolden. I mean, they still had some weapons.
Yeah, Alex Atkins. Alex Atkins, is that the answer?
Yeah, man.
Anybody
but Richt is the coordinator.
Because obviously we're thinking about 91, 92. I mean, maybe not even 96. Not even 96. But we're just trying to think of the teams that were on the cusp of winning a national title and did not. I don't think anybody in the 96 team puts them over the edge.
I mean, they went 12-0. They shouldn't have had to play Florida again. That was just a bad break.
What about it? Azarie 97? Does he cover a little bit tighter?
Ooh, I mean, it was Samari Roll, I think, that got beat. But, yeah, maybe Azarie out there instead of Samari. But Samari was a good player, man.
Samari would have been a little bit fresher. I'm just saying, having Azarie out there,
right.
Samari would have been fresher and have been able to stay tight in phase.
Yeah.
That's my final answer. I'm going with Azarie 97 team. Where does the 97 team fall in your terms? Do you think it was more of a travesty that the 91 team wasn't able to play for a national title? Not a travesty because of, the results worked out the way they worked out, and they weren't able to go play for it. But do you think the 91 team was maybe more deserving of playing for a national title team than the 97 team?
No, the 91 team just got so hurt by the end of the year. They were really banged up. They played in the Cotton Bowl and scored one touchdown. They won 10-2. So I would say the 97 team was the better team. I think that team, it kind of decimated Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl back when all those players would play in quote-unquote meaningless bowl games. I think they were the best team in the country. I think they would have beaten Michigan. I think they would have beaten Nebraska. But they lost to Florida in the swamp in the final 2 minutes because they couldn't cover Jacquez Green.
All right, let's check back in here with wins 2024. Old Dads and all, wake up. FSU win total 9.5. It's sitting at 9.5 without heavy juice to the over as of now. I can't imagine 3 losses from that schedule. Please tell me why the over is not in play.
Yeah, I think it's not a joke of a schedule. I think, at Notre Dame, at Miami, who's going to be good. Look, man, they've got a better roster. Yeah, but they're going to be I don't know.
Better than they were. I'm saying not better than you. I'm just saying better than they were last year, not better than you are.
But you're going on the road to what we're going to assume Miami's top 15-ish. and you're on the road in a top 15 team. Those aren't typically easy. Notre Dame's top 15-ish, top 20-ish. Those aren't easy. Memphis is good, man. By the way, Memphis at noon. So the September 14th.
Correct.
Should be pretty cool, I think, right? Mid-September in Tallahassee. That won't
Nice
be too
breeze.
hot.
Yeah.
It's a nooner for Norvell coaching against his old program. I mean, you don't know. We're talking in May. Like, I don't know, man. Like last year, we probably thought winning at Florida would be really hard. It wasn't. I mean, it was because they had Tate Rodemaker at quarterback, but it wouldn't have been if they were fully healthy. Like, you just don't know what these teams end up being.
That's not a mean-spirited. It was because they didn't have Jordan Travis at quarterback, not because of you, Tate.
Yeah, but I mean, if they had Jordan Travis at quarterback against Florida, they'd have won by 2 or 3 touchdowns probably. Yeah. Not probably, they would have.
But what if the Gators had Graham Mertz? Huh? They'll counter. What if they had Graham Mertz?
Exactly right. It's a back and forth. That would have been another game of the century. But they didn't, sadly. So yeah, we don't know exactly what these teams are right now in May. Clemson isn't a joke, man. I know we joke about Dabo because he's just allergic to portal kids, but they're gonna be good. Clemson's good. Clemson, Notre Dame, and Miami are all 3 top 15 team-ish, and then all these other games, you never know, man. So that's why I think that's why it's not getting hammered, because there are some losable games out there, and also Florida State is a question mark.
Yes.
They're a question mark. We think they're talented. We saw them in the spring. But for bettors and gamblers around the country, they don't know what this collection of talent will look like when they're actually playing a game.
Yeah, we had to remember, like last year, there was no questions. Like to your whole point right there, Corey. Like you knew what you had at wide receiver, like NFL caliber guys. You know what you had at quarterback, one of the best college quarterbacks in the country. You had a very experience-laden offensive line. You had a freak of a running back. You had a first-round pick at defensive end. You had a really intriguing prospect on the interior that played a lot of football and was very productive. 2 senior linebackers. You had a really good cover cornerback. And we had a good idea about Renardo. I don't know if we thought Renardo was going to sneak his way as high as he did in the NFL draft, but we like Renardo a lot. Yeah. We liked Akeem. Fentrell was all ACC. So, I mean, you were pretty watertight, like bulletproof everywhere. They are not that right now. I mean, they're just not that on offense. I mean, the quarterback, we don't know about the receivers. We can talk about how much we like the running back room this year versus last year, but there isn't like a one bona fide game changer like Trey Benson was. So it's 9.5 with this.
It's a lot of question marks, right? It's a lot of question marks. When you think about all the talent that Florida State lost from last year, and they lost a ton. To then still be, how many teams have a higher over-under than 9.5 in the country? 8, 10? Right. So for them to still be getting a 9.5 win for over-under tells you again where this program is right now. That they have restocked to the point. A 10-win season is really good, and for them to be that's the betting line is essentially 10 wins or 9 wins. Kind of tells you where this program is right now. So it's cool thing.
Yeah, 10 wins would probably get you into the playoff. Apparently, yesterday, Corey, I don't know did you see this? Greg Sankey, they're having SEC meetings or whatever. Basically trying to say that 9-3 in their conference is going to be much better than like 10-2 anywhere else.
Oh yeah, I mean we know their stance.
But I mean they're doing it now this early. So it's like
they're preparing the general public for an 8-4 SEC team getting in over an 11-1 Big 12 team. Just like a 28-27 Florida baseball team got in over teams that were like 39-16. It's just the way of the world, man. I hate it. I want to be a part of it, but I hate it.
Yeah. How about this quote from Greg Sankey, Corey? Put you guys in a good mood heading into the weekend as we get closer wrapping up. We have an undefeated team, so their in is not the standard, Sankey said Wednesday. It was never the standard. Obviously, that stirred up controversy last year. So that's out there, floating.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
All
Love
right,
that guy. Love what he's done for the sport. What he's done for the sport.
Yeah. Seminole Life, taking us out to the weekend.
What would our lives have been like, Aslan, if Milroe had never gotten to play in a playoff game? maybe the best quarterback in Alabama history. What would our lives have been like if he didn't get rewarded for needing a 4th and 32 miracle to beat an average-ass Auburn team? How could we have lived as college football fans without seeing that? In the whopping, what did he put up, 108 passing yards against Michigan? How could we have lived with ourselves if we didn't get to see that show? So it all worked out in the end.
I thought you were going to say something else, SH, instead of show.
No. Come on, man. I'm a professional.
You're right. Yeah, it's going to be awesome, man. 9-3 teams from the SEC making it over a 10-2 team that lost to like 2.
Oh, that's a no doubter. It's 9-3 over 11-1, which is what's going to happen.
Oh, that's gross.
It's going to happen, buddy. It's going to happen. Strength of schedule. Strength of schedule matters, Aslan.
Seminole Life. Take us out, buddy. Wake up, fellas. What will FSU Athletics' first big project be once they start receiving an extra $40 million a year? Ha-ha, he adds. Thanks, guys. Go Noles.
It's a good question. Why do you throw in the ha-ha? Is he saying it's not happening?
Well, it wasn't ha space ha. It was ha-ha, like H-A-H-A. I think he's got some cynic in him, I think.
Right. Understandable.
I think we all believe that Florida State's going to exit the ACC, but we wonder how the financials are going to look when they have to pay this and get what they're getting and make it all work out.
When is the money going to start rolling in
like
a fountain, like a faucet?
Right.
Well, those don't roll either. That was a horrible analogy.
Faucet, spigot.
Yeah, but it doesn't roll in. That was just dumb for
pouring.
me to say.
Oh, sorry.
When it floods, when it starts flooding in.
Is it going to be?
That.
Are there any capital projects? I mean, I guess baseball stadium is the first thing you might want to address athletically, or because he says FSU athletics, not FSU football. I think like their first big project, it's not a capital project. It's just going to be like the retention fund, right? Like the amount of money they're going to probably need to spend to pay Lonnie to stay here the next time an SEC team comes. And then,
well, you'll match all that stuff now. Now you're set. Like literally, that's the biggest factor. You're set. You're going to have enough money coming from that spigot to pay all your coaches if you want them to. So the biggest project I would think would be Hauser. Hopefully moving it to the intramurals in front of College Town would be awesome. But that's how long would that? I don't know anything about. Like, was that a 2-year project? Is it a 6-month project?
Right.
How long does it take to build something like that, Aslan? I don't know.
The cool thing is, I would assume you could probably keep playing in Hauser, though. You know, it's not like you're going to have to play your games at another stadium. Did you see that? By the way, that mock-up of Northwestern.
Yes.
Northwestern's going to be playing they're going to make a makeshift stadium like by the lake.
Yeah.
I don't know, like what's wrong with their stadium right now? I thought it was like newish. I guess it's not.
Who knows, man? That's what they're they got to do something with all the money, Aslan.
Right.
They can't all give it to the coaches. They have to act like they're doing something with the money. So they're building a stadium that nobody will ever go into except when Ohio State's playing there because they'll fill it up with their fans. Like it's just.
What would they do with Hauser? I mean, if Hauser moves to the intramural fields, what happens to that plot of land? I like soccer. Does soccer stay at the Plex? Does soccer get something that's maybe a little bit more?
Maybe softball and soccer, because they're both national championship programs, get their own individual facilities.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool and deserved.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good question. Above my pay grade, buddy. Above my pay grade.
Hauser's somewhere, though, we think, right?
I mean, I think that would be option one. I think option two is to maybe get like a live DJ for the football games.
Okay.
Something to just get rid of the marching chiefs altogether.
All right, we're done here.
Sorry.
We're done here, everybody. We're done here. Jeff Cameron's on vacation for a little bit.
Oh, what about an on-site, on-campus basketball arena, or really refurbishing the Civic Center? Is that something they would be thinking about doing? Probably not.
I'm fine with its location. I get it. You maybe want it to be closer to the stadium, but I don't think asking anybody to either drive or walk to that
You're
arena
right. It's not that far.
Yeah.
But then doing something with it, making it a better arena, or giving the men's and women's their own basketball facilities. I don't know. But yes, I think none of those are, to me, and I guess, I know college baseball isn't the biggest moneymaker in the world. It's not really a moneymaker at all. I just think that stadium, if you're going to be competing in the SEC or with the SEC,
yes,
you need an SEC caliber facilities, and that ain't it right now. It's as good as they can do there, but it's close to as good as they can do. But it's not on par with Arkansas or Mississippi State or Texas A&M.
Nobody. Ole Miss, yeah nobody. I was going to actually say that would be the one thing that would probably tip it, right? Like if if we did not know what conference they were going to select, but let's say like Florida State says by the end of this football year we're leaving the ACC, like going back to that one question, if we find out they have plans to like upgrade or move Hauser, I feel like that's a slam dunk sign that they're going to the SEC. Because I don't think you need to make Hauser into Truist Park or whatever you guys call it now in Atlanta to welcome in Northwestern and Rutgers for baseball. I don't think that's part of the thing. But man, if you want to be on par with Tennessee and Vandy and everybody, I mean, I think even Kentucky's got a nice ballpark now. You would probably need to make your ballpark a little bit better.
Yep.
So.
Agreed.
All right, Jeff Cameron, he's on vacation for the remainder of this week, and I think most of next week too. So just listen to this show again, everybody. Appreciate it. Or I don't know, just go to warchant.com. Go to our YouTube page. Listen to old War Chats. Go listen to old War Chant raps. Somebody commented on the 2021 Louisville game, and they were like, "I just like coming back every now and then and seeing how far we've come."
Oh yeah, the 2021 Louisville game.
Yeah.
Oh, so the one where they were down 34-7 at half or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
I did do that once. I went and watched. This was during last football season. I watched the War Chant rap from the Jacksonville State game.
Oh, haven't done
and
that.
Ira was like, "Welcome to all the other fans of other teams that wanted to win," which was really funny too. Yeah,
I remember that. But look at us now. Man. Playoffs.
The hog. Yep,
Playoffs.
absolutely. Almost got there.
Yeah.
Almost got there.
Stay connected to warchant.com. Comprehensive coverage of the Tallahassee Regional in baseball. Again, Florida State taking on Stetson today at noon. 6 o'clock is UCF in Alabama. The winners will meet on Saturday at 6 o'clock, I think, Corey, yes?
Sure. Sounds right.
All right, there we go. Losers play on Saturday afternoon, I would imagine. So stay connected to warchant.com for all that. We'll be back next week, Corey and I. Jeff, has his turn to take some time off. I took my time off. Maybe Corey will take some time off, but Corey's just a grinder, everybody. He's going to stay here and crank out podcaster because he loves you folks. That's how it's done. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks again for listening to another edition of Wake Up Warchant presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.